Leon Edwards just got dominated by Sean Brady for 3 rounds and was eventually submitted in the 4th. I would say the vast majority of the MMA community isn't shocked with the outcome because Leon was a slight underdog going into the fight. But I'm sure we didn't expect this fight to be so one-sided, and if anything, I can say the same for Sean.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at how confused he seemed to be on the ground. Once I had him there, I just think that just says how good I am on the ground. But yeah, it literally went exactly the game plan over the last 4 to 5 weeks. I couldn't have scripted it any better, to be honest with you.
It's pretty clear that Sean studies film extensively because he understands the fight that Leon just can't fight. Leon likes to be on the outside landing low kicks, body kicks, that high kick that he landed on Usman. He doesn't really have good boxing fundamentals, so he likes to stay outside and land straight punches only. I seldom see Leon throw hooks, and I'm sure it's because he goes by the principle that states straight punches always beat looping punches. But I think there's certain instances where you need to know how to throw looping punches, especially in the pocket, which Leon likes to avoid, and we saw Bilal capitalize off of that. That's another fight that we also didn't expect to be so one-sided, and I'm sure we can all agree that Sean Brady's performance was more dominant than Bilal. If anything, Leon almost finished Bilal in the 5th round, and if he had 30 more seconds, the fight would have been his. But winning's winning whether you win by an inch or a mile, and boy oh boy, Sean won by a couple. Leon's supposed to be a lot more well-rounded than Sean, yet it was Sean landing the low kicks, body kicks, blitzes that rocked Leon on multiple occasions. His takedowns were damn near flawless, and one thing I appreciate was the fact that he wasn't throwing them blindly. He would feint a right hand then follow up with a takedown. Mind you, Leon was already thinking about the blitz, making it a lot harder to see. At the highest level, you'd expect every good grappler to set up their takedowns, and while a lot of them do, what makes the difference is the timing, and Sean Brady's timing couldn't have been any better. And when he'd land these takedowns, he pretty much did whatever he wanted with Leon. He would land ground and pound, and at times came close to finishing the fight with it. What really stood out was the control time. In round 2, he had a total control time of 4 minutes and 57 seconds, basically the whole 5 minutes, which is just unheard of. Is Leon Edwards completely washed? No. He did get dominated by Bilal and Sean Brady, but I still think there's some interesting matchups that he could come out victorious in. It all depends on who they match him up against. If they match him up against a grappler, it might not end very well for him. The only other grapplers in his division that he hasn't already fought are Michael Morales, Shavkat, and Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is probably the easiest fight there, not because he's not good, but just looking at age. I can't say too much about Michael Morales because his best win is Neil Magny, and I'm not trying to ride any waves. But when it comes to Shavkat, I would say the odds are heavily against Leon because in as much as Shavkat's a hybrid fighter, his offensive wrestling is significantly better than Leon. Because when you look back at the times Leon grappled, did he ever offensively grapple, or was he just defending the takedowns of Usman, Bilal, and Sean Brady? Even in his fights before that, where he was going up against strikers, all he would do is strike, and it got him to where he is, so I don't really blame him for doing that. But you'll notice that Shavkat actively grapples, and what's Leon Edwards' biggest strength in the grappling department? One of them is clinching. You know who else can clinch? Shavkat. And if anything, I would say he's a much better clinch fighter than Leon Edwards because when Leon clinches, he lands a few knees then breaks free. It might have to do with the fact that he heavily relies on his striking, and even then, I don't see an easy path to victory with that approach because Shavkat is a great striker in his own right after outstriking Ian Gary. The narrative going into the fight was that Ian Gary was a better striker than Shavkat, and I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't believe it because looking at both of their performances against Jeff Neal, you'll notice that Ian Gary rarely got touched, whereas Shavkat got rocked on multiple occasions. But I guess styles make fights, so we'll never know who the better striker is until they actually face each other. But for the time being, I think it's Shavkat, not based off of recency bias, but just the simple fact that Shavkat actually has power. Because if you're going up against someone like Leon Edwards, he will have the better footwork, better distance management, he might even be more precise than you, but what difference will it make if he only throws 10 strikes around? Shavkat will throw way more than 10, and one of which might even rock you. So I think that'll work very well against Leon Edwards' style because all he has is defense. Watch his fight against Kobe and you'll notice that he was rarely landing any heavy strikes. He just did enough to narrowly win rounds and it got him a unanimous decision victory. His fights are so uneventful and it's made me realize that I've never actually been a fan of him. I just like the story of how he overcame adversity by knocking out Kamaru Usman after losing 4 rounds. He was looked down upon by some of the fighters in his division, then finally started to get more respect after becoming champ. That's pretty much the only thing I admired about him, but don't get me wrong, I still do hope he makes a comeback. What does he need to do to make that comeback? I don't know. I'm assuming that he trains with very few coaches, which is good, but there's certain areas of MMA where your coach won't be able to help you. And if he's a good coach who doesn't have a big ego, he'll be very honest about it and advise you to train that aspect elsewhere. Ian Gary's a perfect example of that. He's been known to gym hop, and that's something that's frowned upon, but at the same time he's one of the few fighters in the welterweight division that have shown serious improvements, like in his fight against Shavkat where he defended 8 out of 10 takedowns and landed one of his own. Do we have conclusive evidence that Leon Edwards trains with a select few amount of coaches? No. But when comparing his performance against Bilal to that of Sean Brady, I didn't see that much of a difference in the grappling realm. But that might be because Sean Brady is a better grappler than Bilal, potentially at least, so I'll cut Leon some slack. One thing we need to understand is that Leon Edwards lost this fight because Sean Brady was the better man, not because he quit. Sean landed the blitz on multiple occasions in the first round, and Leon adjusted in the second by intercepting it with an uppercut, but he just wasn't powerful enough. He also expended a lot of energy scrambling, but Sean's understanding of positioning made it impossible for Leon to escape. So let's not make this loss harder for him than it already is. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.